We are about to time travel to November 22nd of 1963. Yes, the day of the JFK assassination. Through the magic of a virtual reality, we could step backwards and experience these events firsthand in a way never been done before. Let's experience JFK Memento in VR together right now. Oh wow, this is crazy. I've seen pictures of this location. I've never been here before though. I'm not really sure what to expect.
There are only a few sites in the world where we can say world history changed there.
This is a friendly crowd in downtown Dallas as the president of the
Oh wow, look.
Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas is one of them.
You can actually see it.
It was here, 60 years ago, that a promising young president was assassinated.
Wow.
In the building from which John F. Kennedy was shot, the 6th floor museum now stands as a poignant reminder of that fateful day.
Oh, okay. 6th floor
What happened
museum.
on that day? Who killed the president? Was it a lone man or a conspiracy? Many questions have remained unanswered since November 1963. The films, photos, and testimonies of the tragedy presented in the museum seem to hold part of the answer.
Whoa.
What if you could step inside them and go back in time?
Visually, this is crazy what they've done. Who's that, I wonder? Whoa,
In
okay.
1963, Mary Ann Moorman was a 31-year-old stay-at-home mother. On November 22nd, she went to downtown Dallas with her friend Jean to snap pictures of the president and the First Lady with her brand-new Polaroid camera. 60 years later, Moorman still lives in a suburb of Dallas. She vividly remembers the day that changed her life forever.
That day is as vivid in my mind as if it happened yesterday.
We're in this actual room
It
with
was
us.
an exciting day. We were so anticipating to see Jackie. She was a fashion plate at that time and wanted to make sure that we got to see her along with the president. To see a president in our lifetime so close would be a real experience. That day is as vivid in my mind as if it happened yesterday. It was an exciting day. We were so anticipating to see Jackie. She was a fashion plate at that time and wanted to make sure that we got to see her along with the president. To see a president in our life.
Dallas Love Field. This is the control tower at Dallas Love Field, where a large crowd is gathered now to await the arrival of President and Mrs. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. President now, pardon me.
Wow, it's 3D.
On the second day of his visit to Texas, President Kennedy lands at Dallas Love Field Airport for a stop in
This
Dallas.
is insane.
He and his wife Jackie board the presidential limousine for a 10-mile motorcade, hoping to shore up support in Texas. A large crowd welcomes the Kennedys as their open-top limo enters downtown Dallas.
I
A
legitimately
few
feel
blocks
like
down the
I'm
road,
there.
Mary Ann Moorman has been waiting for the motorcade since 11 a.m.
The march with the president talks at approximately 1 o'clock.
Here we are again.
My friend Jean Hill and I, we got downtown probably 11-ish.
Which will also be carried live right here on most of these channels. And then we'll be back here again, of course, as we told you, at about 2:15
Oh, wow.
for the
That's
president's
awesome. Look at
departure.
that.
Dealey Plaza was a pretty place, but nothing exciting, nothing exceptional. We walked down the grassy area. We had no problem finding a place to stand so we could take the picture of the president when he was coming down the
There.
street.
Thousands
Oh, wow.
are already be on the street right now, waiting for a view of the president and his wife.
It was getting closer to the noonish time. By then, people began to gather on the street.
as we can see, the presidential limousine even further down the street. It's a tremendous welcome.
The way they've blended this together is incredible.
And here is the President of the United States.
Wow, look.
And what a crowd, what a tremendous welcome he's getting now.
The crowd was getting louder, so we knew that the limo was coming closer to us. We were getting so excited.
As the motorcade enters Dealey Plaza, John and Jackie smile and wave back to the people crowded on the sidewalks. The car turns right onto Houston Street, then left onto Elm Street.
Oh, wow.
The limousine passes the Texas School Book Depository and proceeds down Elm Street for the last portion of the route toward a scheduled luncheon at the Dallas Trade Mart. On the right side of the road, standing atop a concrete pedestal, a man named Abraham Zapruder is about to capture one of the most infamous home movies of the 20th century.
Oh, right here. From here?
As the limo approached us, the first sound happened. I was watching the car, and I heard more sounds. I had no idea where the sounds were coming from. They just sounded like firecrackers to me. Gene was hollering, "Look this way, Mr. President, we want to take your photo." And by then, I had put the camera up to my face and was waiting just for the right moment to take the picture. I thought, I saw his hair jump. That wasn't his hair. Later, I found that was his head.
Jeez.
I had no idea they were shots.
Wow.
Everything was over with. The car left. People then began to drop to the ground, and we did kind of squat to the grass. People began to run in all directions. Gene took off and ran across the street because everybody was running in that direction. And I just stood there. It was chaotic. It was unbelievable.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Well, this is
It was
an
just a
insane way
picture.
to experience
I didn't
history.
see that he was slumped, but all this took place in just seconds. It was, the minutes passed so fast, and I didn't have any idea of the importance of the picture that I took.
The iconic picture was examined by law enforcement within minutes and soon seen in newspapers all around the world. At Dealey Plaza, dozens of police and investigators had converged on the scene, hoping to capture the shooter and search for evidence.
The fact that you can lean in and actually look at things is insane. Literally feel like, oh wow, okay.
Elmer Boyd was born and raised near Dallas. He joined the Dallas Police Department in 1952 and served there his whole career. In 1963, he was one of the 22 detectives who worked on the Kennedy assassination. 60 years later, he is the last one still here to recall the story.
I've never experienced anything like this before.
I'm surprised that it's come to what it's been. I never thought I'd be known for part of history like this, you know. Because I'm just an old country boy, and I was raised up here, and I was trying to do my job. No, I never thought that I would be a part of history as much as I am.
Jeez.
I was assigned at Trademark where President Kennedy was to make his speech that day. We were making our final check there when we got word that the president had been in an accident down the Triple Underpass. As we got in the car, motorcade came in front of us. We followed it into Parkland Hospital. As soon as we got to Parkland, as they were unloading President Kennedy, Chief Curry, who was our chief at that time, came and told Captain Fritz, so you take your men and go back to the school book depository because they think that's where the shots came from.
You can't see it, but the 3 dimensions of these flat images are incredible. I honestly have never seen anything like this before. The way this is being brought together with new and old, it's incredible. Very much like traveling back in time. More so than anything I've ever done, I think.
We got out and went in, and it was kind of chaotic out there. There were officers all around the building with their rifles and guns. As soon as we got there, that's when we went in the depository and started making our search. Captain Fritz Sims and I, we went inside and we went over and called a freight elevator and went up. And as we got to the 7th floor, someone called and said they'd found the empty shell casings on the 6th floor down under the southeast window.
Told police to call the Dallas Crime Laboratory to the scene. Apparently they found some shells there in that room here in the Texas School Book Depository building.
Well, here's the room.
Well, you have a different feeling when you go in there. I know they had a lot of books. I have no idea what they were used for. I'd never been in it before.
The audio is spatial.
In
too. I can hear
1963,
things around me.
the Texas School Book Depository was a storage and distribution warehouse for textbooks. When Elmer Boyd got to the 6th floor, there were officers everywhere, searching the place from top to bottom.
Oh, wow. Whoa, that's crazy.
Up there on the outside of one of those open windows is where the assassin of President Kennedy is believed to have fired the fatal shot.
Over by the window where shell cases were found, there were some boxes, book boxes, I guess what they were. We waited until our crime scene people got up there and photographed the shells laying on the floor.
Right there. Shells on the floor, look at that.
Lieutenant J.C. Day and R.L. Studebaker.
Look, you can see the view down there.
Crime scene were photographing the empty shell casings.
The detectives pick up the 3 shell casings lying on the floor in the southeast corner.
Wow.
My partner Sam picked them up and put them in an envelope and gave them to Lieutenant Day.
They realize that a couple of book boxes have been stacked in front of a half-open window overlooking the street where President Kennedy has been shot.
Oh yeah, just like that. Look at that. Wow.
A little ways over on top of some boxes, there was a paper sack with some chicken bones and...
They actually found some chicken bones in there. We'll see a picture of that in a minute.
That's weird. Oh yeah, look at that.
In the meantime, Officer Luke Money from the Sheriff's Department called and said, I think we found the rifle over here. We went over there and the rifle was down between some boxes.
Where? Oh, right there. Oh, yeah.
The Dallas Sheriff's Department said the rifle had been found in a staircase on the 5th floor of a building
right
near
there.
the scene of the assassination.
There's the detectives. They get it all
Wow.
trying to regroup.
Next to the northwest stairway,
Stunned by this.
Dallas police detectives find a rifle stuck between book
Being
boxes.
able to walk around in this is just
It looks like the
incredible.
shooter dropped his weapon there before rushing down the staircase.
Captain J.C. Day, he took the rifle and examined it.
Lieutenant Day, the head of the Dallas Police Crime Lab, picks up the rifle from its hiding place to inspect it.
Oh, wow, look. Whoa.
This is that rifle that was shown minutes ago on the network. They dusted it for fingerprints.
This is the most unbelievable history piece I've ever seen. Oh,
the rifle found has several markings on it. It was made in Italy in 1945.
Oh, look, you can see inside.
And is the same caliber as the casings found next to the window. Lieutenant Day also finds a serial number engraved on its barrel. Digits and letters that could allow the police to trace it back to its owner. As they were searching the crime scene, Elmer Boyd and his colleagues were interrupted by the manager of the depository, Roy Truly. He had gathered all the employees who were working in the building that day. One of them had gone missing.
Lee Harvey Oswald, that was the only one that we hadn't accounted for.
Attention all squads. The suspect in the shooting at Elm in Houston is reported to be an unknown white male, approximately 30, slender build, height 5 feet 10 inches, weight 165 pounds, reported to be armed with what is thought to be a .30 caliber rifle.
I know I'm not talking much. I'm just taking it in. It's unbelievable.
On November 22, 1963, Hugh Ainsworth was a young reporter covering U.S. space flights for a local newspaper. He wasn't assigned to cover the president's visit, but he still decided to go to Dealey Plaza to watch the motorcade. There, he saw President Kennedy being shot before his very eyes. An unforgettable memory that set him on a lifelong quest to investigate the JFK assassination.
I heard three shots. Boom, boom, boom. And I know there were three. They were evenly spaced, and everyone couldn't imagine where shots came. Police cars are screaming away.
Well, back here again.
It was chaos, but nobody knew what happened. There was one man that stood straight in front of me, kept saying, I seen him up there. Probably the shooter was in that window. Learned early on in my newspaper that when something really bad happened, go to find a police radio. The only way we knew what was going on, I ran from my spot to a three-wheeler police car in front of the depository that had a radio on it.
What is shooting out here? Where is it at? In the street. It's a police officer. Somebody shot him.
Huh.
I knew I had to get over there.
A policeman had just been shot a few kilometers away in a nearby area of Dallas called Oak Cliff. Unsure of how the event might be connected to the president's shooting, Ainsworth hurried to the scene.
Oh, wow, okay.
I got there. By that time, there were police cars everywhere. Of course, they removed the body, and the shooter he had going.
The victim was a police officer named J.D. Tippett. He was patrolling in his car when a man approached his rear window and shot him.
I was talking to this woman. He said, I saw him. He just walked up and hit him. Nobody knew what they'd seen, really.
As police searched for the gunman, they received a tip over the radio that a potential suspect had been sighted a few blocks away on Jefferson Boulevard.
Oh.
Ainsworth followed the police. A salesman who worked on the block had witnessed a suspicious man entering the movie theater.
I go up to the woman who sells tickets. She said, he's in there. Some cops, they got in there. I was very frankly afraid to go that way to the theater.
As the police entered the movie theater, they caught sight of the suspect. He was sitting in one of the rows, seemingly engrossed in the movie.
I saw people jumping all over. They jumped on him. Then I heard a shot.
Huh.
They got his gun. He said, "I protest this police brutality." Took him out. Already at least 50 people chanting, "Kill him."
Huh.
Had good radio and television coverage. People were aware step of the way. And took him downtown to the police station.
I don't know what this is all about.
The apprehended man was Lee Harvey Oswald.
I work in that building.
He was an employee from the book depository, where the shots fired at the president originated.
Wow.
The police had been looking for him since he had gone missing from the building where he worked that morning.
I was with Lee Harvey Oswald 75 to 80% of the time that he was out of his jail cell during interrogation. And no doubt in my mind that he's the one that shot and killed Officer Tippit and the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy.
Oh, now we're in the police station.
Dallas police offices were quickly packed with dozens of reporters.
Oh.
Kind of chaotic out in the hallway. Getting them in and out of the jail cell down to our office, when you had to push your way through the folks to get them through there. It wasn't good.
Oh, here we go. They're coming now.
I've never seen anyone be so calm. You'd ask him a question, he would fire your answer right back.
I didn't shoot anybody, sir. I haven't been told what I'm here for.
Took Lee Harvey Oswald into Captain Fritz's office for interrogation.
Detectives began questioning Lee Harvey Oswald.
He was unusual, I'll say that. But he wasn't a dummy by any means. He denied having anything to do with the presidential assassination or Tippit.
To learn more about Oswald, detectives headed to his known address for a search in Irving, near Dallas. Lee Harvey Oswald was a 24-year-old former Marine Corps sharpshooter who later embraced communism and moved to the Soviet Union, where he married a Russian woman named Marina Prusakova. In 1962, the couple returned to the United States, hoping to build a better life in Dallas. The couple was facing hardships and lived separately. Lee lived in a rooming house in downtown Dallas, while Marina and the children stayed with a friend named Ruth Payne in a suburb nearby. This was the first address searched by the police, changing Ruth Payne's life forever.
I first met Marina and Lee in February of 1963, and they were at a party in Dallas, and I went into, because a friend of mine had told me that there was going to be someone there who had been to Russia and come back, and he knew I was studying Russian.
The day before the assassination. We've gone even farther back in time now.
And we got acquainted with Marina. And so later I invited her, but I didn't really want Lee there. I found Lee to have a very narrow view of politics.
Lee would only visit Ruth Payne's house on weekends. Unexpectedly, he showed up on Thursday, the evening preceding the Kennedy assassination.
I was surprised, unexpected. He didn't call ahead the way he usually did when he came out. We had dinner, and then I went out to the garage. I noticed the light was on. I assumed that Lee had been in the garage. When the morning came, He had already gotten up and gotten his ride. He was riding with a neighbor to work at the school book depository, so I never saw him. He left a coffee cup in the sink.
Oh, wow.
By that time, Marina was good company.
Oh, wow, look at this.
I was alone because my husband and I had separated. And this was somebody to talk to. We talked about our children. Since I was trying to learn Russian, it was very helpful for me. I wanted to soften the hardness of the Cold War. That morning, I turned on the TV to see the president coming.
Wow.
Waving at a lot of people, smiling.
We were all very excited. I watched in about 12, we heard that the president had been shot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse the fact that I'm out of breath, but about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a tragic thing, from all indications...
About 1 o'clock, it was announced that the president had died.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
I was numb at that point, too. We were so stricken by the loss of the president, and that's where our hearts were. I was numb.
Police are here.
And then about 3 or so in the afternoon, policemen came to the door saying that they had Lee in custody for shooting an officer. I didn't know what was going on. As they came in, they asked if Lee had a gun. And I said no, but I translated to Marina, who said yes, he did, and led them into the garage. And indicated a blanket roll that was there. The policeman picked up the roll, and it was obviously empty. Oh, I was very surprised. I had no idea he had a gun. So it probably was there all along, only I didn't know. Of course, Marina knew. And that was the moment at which I thought, oh my God, it could have been Lee that shot the president. I was furious.
Mrs. Oswald, who speaks only limited English, seemed stunned.
Oswald's wife was questioned at the police station, but denied knowing her husband's assassination plan. She and Ruth Payne were released the same day without any charges.
No, I have not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about was when the newspaper reporters in the hall.
At midnight, Oswald was presented to the press. He vigorously protested his innocence, but detectives had enough evidence to charge him with murdering Officer Tippit and President Kennedy.
Oh, 2 days later now. Oh, where are we now? The police station.
2 days after his arrest, Lee Harvey Oswald was scheduled for transfer to the county jail, where he would await trial. Dozens of reporters gather in the basement. Accompanied by 2 detectives, he emerges from the swinging doors. Journalists fire questions, hoping for a confession. When suddenly...
Oswald has been shot. Oswald has been shot.
Oswald stumbled and fell to the floor.
Wow.
Jack Ruby, owner of the Carousel in Dallas, reportedly did the shooting.
In a dramatic twist, a Dallas nightclub owner named Jack Ruby shot Oswald within 48 hours of the president's assassination. Ruby later claimed he sought to avenge the president's wife.
Wow.
Oswald died from his wounds a short time later, taking forever with him the truth about the Kennedy assassination.
I know I keep saying wow, but this story is, the way it's being told is more impactful than I've ever seen it before. But we've moved to today now.
The moment Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters, it ensured that Oswald would never go to trial, never had the chance to defend himself, and there would always be lingering questions about the Kennedy assassination. And those questions started almost immediately.
President Johnson was sworn into office an hour and a half after President Kennedy's assassination. That ceremony took place in the presidential plane at the Dallas airport.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
There were questions. And President Johnson, recognizing that the American public needed answers to these questions, established a government entity to investigate the shooting of President Kennedy called the Warren Commission. They ultimately delivered a report concluding that there was no evidence of a conspiracy. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. The Warren Commission concluded that 3 shots were fired at the motorcade.
Oh, wow.
1 shot likely missed. 1 shot has become very controversial, resulting in a theory that's called the single bullet theory. And then the 3rd shot was the fatal shot that struck President Kennedy in the head. There was a great deal of evidence that did link Oswald to the building, to that moment of the assassination. There were prints found on 2 of the boxes in the sniper's perch belonging to Oswald. Ownership of the rifle was traced to Oswald, and ultimately a palm print on the underside of the barrel was traced to Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald was 24 years old in the midst of a disintegrating marriage and a confused political ideology, and it may have been as simple as that he simply brought his rifle to the Texas School Book Depository that day to make his mark on history. Oswald was 24. But that feeling didn't last very long. Conspiracy theories emerged almost immediately. The most popular is that the CIA, angry at President Kennedy for various things, masterminded the assassination. Organized crime becomes a very popular conspiracy theory because of ties to the Kennedys going back. Even Vice President Lyndon Johnson, he had the most to gain becoming the president. We were also at the height of the Cold War in 1963, so it's reasonable to assume that Russia or Cuba may have been involved in the assassination as well. The list is almost endless. And then you have the logistics of the shooting itself and this very widespread belief that there was more than one gunman. The most likely location being behind a stockade fence atop the grassy knoll, because it does provide this very good vantage point of the Kennedy motorcade, particularly at the
grassy knoll
of the fatal shot. To this day, a majority of Americans believe a conspiracy was responsible in the assassination of President Kennedy.
The nation pays its final homage to John Fitzgerald Kennedy today. It is a day of national mourning, a day proclaimed by the people themselves in their collective grief. Never in history have so many Americans turned out to pay honor to a fallen president. Through the long night, and even now,
there will likely never be a consensus on what happened on November 22nd, 1963. And for many, that's where the fascination lies. The Kennedy assassination will forever remain one of history's greatest mysteries.
Wow, I'm blown away by this travel back in time. I was not expecting it to be like this. Wow, that was incredible. There you have it. There is the chilling tale in JFK Memento. This was a mind-blowing, immersive experience that I was not expecting to be as good as it was. If you want to check it out on the Quest platform, head to the link in the description. It's available on App Lab. It is $8.99, but the impact that this makes and the way it makes you feel like you actually were there for these events is an educational way of seeing things I've never experienced before. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it or if you're interested. I personally see a massive future for education like this in virtual reality. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more VR content, and as always, happy questing.